Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining our webinar today, our pre-trip webinar for our upcoming, no, that's not the one, for our trip, not to Koh Samui, but for our trip to the Amalfi Coast, happening in just a month from now. Let me just get this started here. Here we go. Let's see, let's wait for everybody. So we're just going to get started in about a minute's time here. And we're just going to wait for a few more folks to join us. Hopefully, I know that not everybody's able to join us because some are actually already in Sicily and probably having dinner. But this obviously is going to be recorded, and so you can watch the replay. But we're going to give the others just about a minute or so to join us, and otherwise we're going to carry on. We've got a small group coming with us to hello Danielle, hello Jewel. I assume Raymond is there too. And yeah, we've got a fairly small group joining us in the Amalfi. There's only going to be 12 of us, so it's we're going to have a lot of fun together. It's a beautiful part of the world. If you haven't been there before, I'll assume you haven't. Otherwise, why would you be coming? Or maybe you have and you're coming because the way we do it is so different and exciting. So I see it's 12 noon back in Montreal and the Toronto and the Eastern time zone. So as I say, I'm just going to give another 30 seconds or so for anyone else to join us. And then we will get started. This will be fairly quick today, but the idea behind our pre-trip webinars is just to give folks a bit of a heads up on what to expect and how to prepare for this trip. So I'm going to wait till 1 minute after, and then we're going to carry on and anticipate that the others will tune in on the replay. Hello, Paula. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. I was just waiting for a minute to see if we get any more members joining us.
Perfect.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Danielle, of course, is in Ortigia. Hello, Danielle, on the first leg of our Sicily trip there. Good. We had one more member join us. So we'll see if anybody else joined us, but we are going to get started nevertheless. So welcome to our pre-trip webinar on our LiveAway program to the Amalfi Coast, which is happening in just a month's time. Wow, in a month, we're already going to be there. How exciting. And of course, some members like Danielle on this trip are already in Italy, getting a jump start on Sicily by being in Sicily. But anyway, and we're going to be connecting up. I'm going to be connecting with some of our members in Sicily in just under 2 weeks' time. And then continuing to the Aeolian Islands. And then we're going to get started in Amalfi on April the 7th. So let's get started. First of all, what we're going to cover today on our pre-trip webinar, and I say this is going to be fairly brief. This is really an opportunity for you to ask any questions that you have about what should I bring? What should I, how do I get ready for this trip? So to the extent that I don't get answer your question in the course of the next few minutes, please do have your questions ready. Of course, you can always email us, but we like to get the questions out of the way as early as possible. So we're going to cover pre-trip preparation, getting there, itinerary notes, departure information, and that's what you need to know. So first of all, if you haven't seen your passport recently, go and look for it, and then leave it wherever you found it. Don't move it. Just the point being that you should make sure it's there and it's still valid. I think we would have checked already to see if it was in danger of expiring. But yeah, you don't really need any other documents anymore. Obviously, thankfully, the pandemic is over. That being said, it's a good idea just to have your last vaccination certificate handy, either on your phone, electronic version, just in case. You never know if you might be asked for it somewhere along the way. But generally speaking, it's not required anymore. That's it. And obviously, before you head off to the airport, make sure you've got, copies of your e-tickets, any of that stuff that you might need for your normal travels. But generally speaking, passport in hand, money tickets, passport, as they say. But in this day and age, money is replaced by digital money. And of course, all of your tickets are e-tickets. So the passport is the only important thing. Getting ready to go to Amalfi, what to pack? Well, of course, the weather is the key factor here. April is an ideal time to visit. That's part of the reason we're going. It's the very beginning of the season. The season starts kind of with Easter, which will be right when we're there at the beginning. So you can generally expect in April. The one thing I say about weather in this day and age is that it's expect the unexpected, because weather is kind of all over the map. Here in Malta, where I am right now, we had a storm that passed through just before we got here 2 weeks ago, which they don't generally have so you never know what's going to happen. Generally, though, you're going to find temperatures sort of daytime 15 to 20 degrees. In the night, I would expect 10 to 15, so cooler in the evening. Still possible to eat outside. We're already seeing here and in Sicily, I believe, people sitting out in the sidewalk cafes, but it's cool in the evening. So it means you do need a warm line jacket or something like that. So for the most part, everything on this trip is casual. So that being said, knowing some of the members on this trip, if we go out for a really nice dinner somewhere, the Italians like to dress well. And that's one thing that's universal in Italy. And so I always say, you try to want to fit in by having something a little bit nicer that you would feel like going out to a nice dinner. Not formal, you don't need it. Gentlemen don't need to wear a jacket. But if you're comfortable wearing a jacket, bring a jacket, a dinner jacket, I mean. So, but you don't need, you can leave all the formal wears at home, and certainly footwear being a key thing. Please leave the stilettos, leave the high heels at home, because they are a nuisance in Italy, because it's all cobblestones. And well, yeah, you can see here from this picture of Positano what the terrain is like, steep. So comfortable shoes are the order of the day. And so as far as the clothes are concerned, layers are always good. As we always say with any webinar, it's always good to bring layers because it can be cool. A waterproof rain jacket, windbreaker type thing is good because, you know, it can be breezy, particularly if we're out on the boat, heading to Capri or heading on the coast. And even in Sorrento, because of course it's right on the Gulf of Naples. So, you know, you get breezes off the sea. But that being said, I wouldn't necessarily, I don't think you need to bring too many pairs of shorts, but it wouldn't surprise me if we had a warm day and it hit 25. It's also possible in April. So you need a bit of a smattering of spring wear as far as clothes are concerned. Other stuff to bring, a portable umbrella is a great idea. You can always pick one up there, but you know what it's like. You end up paying through the nose for a crappy Chinese one if you buy it on the street there, and you know, and you're caught in a rainstorm. And members have commented to me from the last couple of trips that, oh, they were so glad that they brought a decent umbrella. So it's good to have because it can rain. And to carry anything that you might need around for the day, a light day pack is kind of essential these days. Something that's easy, ideally a rucksack, something you can put on your back so you can keep your hands free, is highly recommendable. You might want to consider bringing something like a dry towel, one of those like camping type towels, because if you do get a cloudburst here or there, or if you get some spray off the sea, if we're on a boat trip or something like that, it's a handy thing. So everybody has their own sort of preferences as far as that's concerned. Bring an adapter. So the Europe General adapter is the one that you find here on the bottom left with 2 round prongs. However, I will say this because I know that some members that arrived in Italy found that in Italy, you'll find this on the pre-trip information document. They also use a 3-prong plug, 3 pins like you see here, but with a 3rd one in the middle, which are a little bit smaller than these ones here, the outlets, I mean. So now that's one that you can't necessarily find at home, so just don't panic. But in the worst cases, you can pick one up at a shop there if you don't find that particular one for Italy. But just to keep that in mind. That being said, and when I mentioned charging cables for your phone in particular, but also for, you know, a laptop or an iPad or a camera, this is something that while you can get it there, it's better to make sure you have all that stuff in check. What I find is useful is I have a portable battery for my phone. So something that looks like this, or looks like whatever, just a small little battery, particularly if you carry an iPhone, because the battery life is, I can't get through a whole day with a brand new iPhone. Having a portable battery is very handy if you're as dependent on your phone as I am. If you're not as dependent on your phone, then don't worry about it. I find Ziploc bags are also something super handy to tuck stuff inside, and particularly if you bring, a phone or a battery or any other electronic gadget, to toss it in a Ziploc bag means that if it does rain, or again, if you get some spray from the sea or whatever, what have you, then it's just protected from the elements, as it were. If you suffer from motion sickness, so again, we have the option of a couple of trips to Capri, for example, or along the Amalfi coast, or we might take a ferry to Naples, for example. But there are the chance, and just the road driving. So if you've signed up to do the Amalfi coast by road from Sorrento, it is a very windy road. So if you suffer from motion sickness at all, please do come prepared with, if you take medication, or if you use a bracelet or something like that, whatever you use to mitigate the effects of motion sickness, because it can be a factor, and I can't emphasize enough how important, if that's something that you're sensitive to. Talking about money, of course, this is Europe, this is Italy, this is 2023. So credit cards are accepted everywhere. In fact, I've gone weeks without even using cash here. We do recommend the Wise card, the information again in your pre-trip information document. This is a super handy, essentially like a debit card, but it's got Visa written on it, so you use it like a credit card. You can manage the money. You can convert into euros or whatever currency. It takes like 40 currencies from around the world. This is our payment mechanism that we use internally because it's so convenient. And the exchange rates, that's the main reason, because of course you could use your credit card for sure. As I say, they're accepted pretty much anywhere, but the banks are really not charging favorable rates. So you're paying through the nose a bit to use a Canadian bank card. There are some exceptions to that. You know what's best for you. We recommend, and the members, I was just talking to some today that I was having lunch with, and they said this is the best thing since sliced bread. So if you haven't looked it up, the information is on your pre-trip information document. Also important for our LiveAways, we use an app called Telegram for communicating. This enables us, me, the host, to send out messages to you, what's going on, if there's a change in the program or whatever goes on. There's also a chat group, so people can, which we haven't set up yet, so don't worry about that. You can talk to the other members and say, hey, we're going out for dinner. Anybody want to join us? Or we went to a great restaurant, or whatever whatever conversation that you want to have about amongst the other members in the group. Share a photograph. So our members again have found this super, super handy. And so the information again in your pre-trip information document to download that and add me, and then I will add you to the Amalfi LiveAway chat group or a channel that I will be sending messages out on. So so please do download that, and if you could do that before you come on the phone, on the device that you're going to be using. And then if you have any troubles with that, you're not sure how to use it, how it works, you can always ask a family member, somebody of the younger generation who's more adept at these technology things to help you out. It just helps me out so that we don't have to start from scratch when we get there. And when you're on the way, if there's a delay, you can always reach me. Telegram is the way to do it. It's a terrific tool. So getting to Amalfi, and I know that some of you are joining me or are already in Sicily and will be joining me in Cefalù. And so we are, of course, going to be traveling by ferry from the Aeolian Islands and arriving in Naples, and the others will be arriving flying into Naples. And you will be met at the airport by our representative, who will have a wheel and anchor sign or your name or both. We always tell them to carry the wheel and anchor sign. Sometimes they bring the name, and so look for the wheel and anchor sign or our name. If you have a problem, you've got my email address there. You will have my Telegram address there. You can send me a note because I'll be looking out for you to make sure that you are picked up. And if you have, the most important thing is if there is a delay, if you miss a connecting flight, half of the group here in Malta missed their connecting flights because of weather in Toronto or elsewhere in Canada or in Europe or whatever reason, please do notify us by sending a message to delays@wheelandanchor.ca. That message is sent out to a core team of us that's always paying attention and to make sure that we can inform our local transfer partner so that they know, oh, you're not on the flight you were supposed to be on, and then we can reorganize your transfers and so on. So that's very, very important to use that function if there is a problem. And of course, you're arriving in Italy, so the regular EU rules apply when you land, although you're probably going to be flying through Frankfurt or some other place, so you will clear customs there. And otherwise, there's not really too much to know about arriving in Naples. And then from there, you will, as I say, be met by our local representative and then have a drive, roughly an hour, maybe a little bit less, to get to Sorrento, where we will all meet together on the first day and raise a glass of delicious Campagna wine to enjoy. So our program, just to give you the geography, the lay of the land, if you will. So this is the Bay of Naples. Naples is up here on the north side, of course. And the drive takes you down here around to Sorrento, which is on the south end of the Bay of Naples. And then from here, which is our base for the 2 weeks, we're going to do trips over to Capri, along the coast or by road. And I know that not quite everybody has submitted their excursion request form yet. So if you haven't done that, I think there's 2 members that we haven't gotten that from. We're looking to finalize our calendar of excursions. And so it looks like most of the excursions offered will be operated, but if any aren't, we're going to do our best to do that, some things on our own. We've got free time in there as well. So for those that, want to return to Amalfi, because when you do it either by road or by car or by road or by boat, I should say, it's fairly quick. You get an hour in Positano, you get lunchtime, a couple hours in Amalfi. So it gives you a sense of it, but the landscape is so compelling. We may just want to go back on another day to do some hiking in the hills, what have you. Or there's so many other things that you can do. You'll find the 2 weeks goes by, even though it's 2 weeks, it goes by rather quickly. It looks like most have signed up for Pompeii and Mount Vesuvius, so I'm excited about that. And Herculaneum. Anyway, so I'll touch on all those in a minute, but that's the geography of everything. So just a few notes. We'll definitely be doing the gelato making class. This is just around the corner from our hotel and is a marvelous experience. I went and checked this out when I was there last year, and it's a lot of fun. And we're gonna have a contest to see who finds the best gelato in Sorrento. Herculaneum, as I say, is going to be a wonderful trip. This is the best preserved of the villages that were buried when Mount Vesuvius erupted all those centuries ago. It's fascinating to see. And of course, we'll eat lots of pizza and discover about what Napoleon style pizza is all about, as opposed to American pizza or as opposed to pizza from other parts of Italy. And the Amalfi Coast, as I say, we'll see how things go and how when the final excursion calendar is published. It's amazing to visit it by road because the road itself is a work of incredible engineering, and the view looking out to the sea and along the coastline, I tell you, it is just one of the most spectacular coastlines anywhere. However, seeing it from the sea and looking up is also really nice. So we may end up doing both. Let's see what happens. Capri, of course, famous for the Blue Grotto, is another excursion that we'll do a day. It's a wonderful day trip out that we'll do from Sorrento. And as I mentioned, Pompeii and Vesuvius, the volcano, let's hope it doesn't blow its top. It's not usually that active, but you never know. But it's, it is the backdrop of Naples. So that's another trip that we're going to offer. And I mentioned hiking. So I don't know about you, but I'm anxious to go with some of you and do a little bit of hiking, particularly in the Amalfi area. So many amazing trails. And I know that we had one specific one mentioned in our excursion calendar. And yeah, time dependent, and seeing, what the group is interested in doing, we'll hopefully do more than one. So when all of our 2 weeks comes to an end, we will be heading out, and some will be flying back from Naples. And of course, we'll have a transfer for you to the airport in Naples to get back. The others, we will be going by train, those that are continuing with me up to Tuscany, up to Florence. And so we're going to join the train right from Sorrento to Naples, changing from there. And then we've got about a 40-minute layover in Naples, and then we will continue on by Frecciarossa, the high-speed rail from Florence, from Naples directly to Florence, where we will arrive 3 hours later. So that's all booked and ready to go. And yeah, there's nothing else that you need. I know that Paula mentioned to me that that although it is not officially required anymore, the ArriveCan app is still used for re-entering Canada. Is that right, Paula?
Exactly. So if you use it, essentially instead of waiting in line at those machines to fill in the information, which then spits out a piece of paper, you've proactively done that, and you just go up to a machine, scan your passport, and it prints out the document. There was a handful of people that went that direction versus the hundreds that were lining up to use the machines on arrival in Toronto.
Yeah, so that's great information. I didn't even know that myself. So, but I haven't returned to Canada in a while. So if you still have that ArriveCan on your phone, don't delete it, because it'll be useful to save yourself some time from having to queue up at those newfangled machines that aren't always working the way that they ought to. Yeah. Yeah, and otherwise we'll be checking for your onward flights to make sure that everything is going according to plan. So you don't need to worry too much about that. And yeah, that's all there is to know. So are there any questions at all about Amalfi Coast and this program? Because if there are, let me know. Now is the time to answer anything. I don't see any questions coming in, so that means I must have done a pretty good job. Of course, if you do have a question, we are here to answer them. Just drop a note to either Paula or myself, or to Barb. Either way, we'll get your questions answered, and I can't wait to see you in Naples and Sorrento. I'll see some of you before then, but I can't wait to see you, and we're gonna have a great time. I'm really excited. I'm excited about all of our trips, but the Amalfi Coast is so beautiful, so cool. Oh, I see a question popped in. Wondering how much Canadian dollars I should convert. Well, I wouldn't. I wouldn't bring Canadian dollars for sure. I mean, you could, but it's just honestly not worth it. I would either use Wise or use your credit card at an ATM. That's the best way, because then you can take out exactly what you need. And it's just a way easier way rather than, but if you want to go and get euros in Canada, you certainly can. But as I say, you can use a card for most things. So how much cash would I bring for a trip like this in terms of cash that you actually need? Maybe a couple €100. Because again, you can use your credit card for almost everything. So you don't need cash for much of anything. So it's just way more handy and safer. Not that it's not safe. I didn't mention safety. I mean, this is a busy tourist spot, and this is the very beginning of the season when we're going. So places like Sorrento, Positano, Amalfi can be really busy. So there's no crime is not a huge problem, except for pickpockets. That's the one thing that they still lurk around. So that's why I say it's better not to take a wallet full of cash, right? If your credit card gets swiped, first thing is you call it in and you get a new one. It's not the end of the world. So, but if you lose cash, that's it. So that's my advice. Good. Anything else, please do drop us a note. Otherwise, thank you so much for taking your time to join me on the pre-trip webinar. And I look forward to seeing you soon in Sorrento. And as I say, drop us a note if you have any other questions. And until then, take care, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.